Welcome to District Command Central, your go-to source for the latest news and updates on the Washington Commanders. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a play. Panic is spreading through the Broncos locker room, and the whispers have already turned into a full-blown storm among fans and analysts alike. Sources close to the team have hinted at an internal problem of massive proportions that could completely reshape the dynamics of their upcoming clash with the Commanders. It's not just a minor injury or a routine lineup adjustment. The word on the street is that the Broncos are facing a disruption that could affect every facet of their game plan. From quarterback decisions to defensive strategies, coaches are reportedly scrambling behind closed doors, trying to figure out how to patch together a unit that suddenly looks more fragile than ever. The locker room atmosphere, according to insiders, is tense, with veterans reportedly expressing concern over the lack of clarity and younger players feeling the pressure mounting in real time. Meanwhile, the Commanders are quietly observing, seemingly sensing that fortune might be smiling on them. The rumor mill has been relentless, speculating about who might be sidelined, who could step up, and how the Broncos' traditionally strong playbook might unravel under unexpected stress. Fans are watching closely, the anxiety palpable as the situation develops rapidly. Sources indicate that what's happening within the Broncos organization isn't just a temporary hiccup but a structural challenge that could have cascading effects on their performance. Multiple insiders have suggested that the offensive line, which has been a cornerstone of the Broncos' strategy, might be compromised due to unforeseen circumstances, leaving the quarterback exposed and vulnerable to pressure that could derail plays. Before they even start, defensive cohesion is also reportedly at risk, as communication breakdowns and uncertainty regarding assignments could emerge in the heat of the game. Analysts have begun to draw comparisons to past scenarios where teams with similar internal turmoil faltered dramatically, often handing victories to opponents who may not even have been the favorites initially. Meanwhile, the Commanders are benefiting from the perception of stability, with their roster reportedly free from major distractions and their coaching staff maintaining a calm and focused approach. The media frenzy around the Broncos' predicament only amplifies the pressure, creating a perfect storm for speculation, betting shifts, and fan anxiety. Every insider quote, social media hint, and rumor adds layers to the narrative, building an image of a team in turmoil facing a confident, poised adversary ready to capitalize on any mistake or misstep that arises during the confrontation. Inside sources are hinting that the ripple effect of the Broncos' problem might extend beyond just the field, influencing locker room morale, media interactions, and even fan sentiment. Leading up to the matchup, players reportedly feel the weight of expectation now mingled with uncertainty, creating a psychological tension that could manifest in uncharacteristic errors or hesitation during critical moments. The coaching staff, for its part, appears caught between trying to maintain public confidence and managing private crises simultaneously, a dual challenge that insiders suggest could test even the most seasoned leaders. Meanwhile, the Commanders' sideline is buzzing quietly with anticipation, with sources noting that their leadership is using the Broncos' situation as motivational fuel, subtly reinforcing a belief in their own supremacy heading into the showdown. The rumor mill continues to spin with claims about potential lineup changes, strategic tweaks, and even behind-the-scenes disagreements within the Broncos organization, making it nearly impossible to separate fact from speculation. Fans, analysts, and commentators alike are dissecting every snippet of information, each new detail adding to the growing perception that the Broncos' once formidable presence might be on shaky ground. Even casual observers are beginning to talk about a shift in momentum before the game has even started, signaling a potential psychological advantage for the Commanders that could define the matchup in ways numbers alone cannot predict. Whispers suggest that even star players on the Broncos roster may be affected by this growing uncertainty, with speculation circulating about the readiness, focus, and confidence of key figures who usually carry the team through high-pressure situations. The very public nature of some of these rumors, amplified across social media platforms and sports commentary, is only adding fuel to a fire that insiders describe as both unprecedented and potentially destabilizing. Meanwhile, the Commanders are reportedly maintaining an almost zen-like composure, with coaching staff and players alike projecting confidence and strategic patience as they prepare to face an opponent apparently wrestling with internal chaos. Analysts speculate that if the Broncos cannot find rapid solutions the Commanders' edge might grow beyond tactical advantage, extending into psychological dominance that could define the first moments of confrontation, and perhaps set a tone that lingers throughout. Every media outlet seems to be weighing in, dissecting every training camp glimpse, every sideline expression, and every cryptic statement from team officials, feeding the frenzy and shaping public perception of what could be a monumental shift in power. Fans, meanwhile, are polarized, with some refusing to believe the rumors and others convinced that a collapse is imminent, each side feeding the narrative in a way that magnifies tension and anticipation. Rumors suggest that the Broncos' supposed problem could also influence the betting markets, with odds reportedly shifting in real time as insiders and tipsters digest the ongoing speculation. The perception of instability can have tangible consequences in sports culture, affecting fan confidence, social media sentiment, and even casual viewing patterns, all of which contribute to the overall pressure surrounding the team. The Commanders, meanwhile, are benefiting from a media narrative that paints them as poised and ready, a team capable of exploiting cracks in their opponent's armor. Without needing to make any dramatic adjustments themselves, insiders hint that conversations within the Broncos organization are increasingly urgent, with strategic meetings reportedly extending late into the night, as coaches and players search for solutions, patchwork plans, and contingencies to mitigate the disruption. Sources suggest that morale management, conflict resolution, and tactical adjustments are all occurring simultaneously, a juggling act that insiders describe as high stakes and potentially decisive. Social media users, bloggers, and commentators have latched onto every hint, building elaborate theories, sharing leaks, and often amplifying the tension through speculation, which adds another layer of stress for the Broncos while subtly elevating the Commanders' perceived advantage in the narrative. The rumor mill also points to potential long-term effects if the Broncos' situation is not resolved quickly, with some insiders warning that even minor mistakes could compound into larger issues, both on the field and in public perception. Psychological pressure, media scrutiny, and internal disagreements can easily create a feedback loop where performance and morale suffer simultaneously. Meanwhile, the Commanders appear to be using every ounce of this opportunity to reinforce confidence internally, with sources hinting at subtle motivational messaging, mental conditioning, and strategic fine-tuning aimed at exploiting the perceived weakness across from them. Fans and analysts are dissecting every detail, from practice footage to interviews, searching for clues, and often interpreting ambiguous signs as confirmation of what some describe as an impending collapse. The Broncos, according to whispers, are scrambling to find answers before the confrontation, balancing public reassurance with internal reality, a challenge insiders describe as uniquely complex. In the high-stakes environment of professional sports, rumor, speculation, and narrative are merging to create a sense of inevitability for some observers, even as others insist that redemption is possible if leadership and star players can respond decisively. As the situation continues to evolve, one thing is certain: tension is at a peak. Uncertainty reigns, and the Commanders' positioning as super favorites in this context is increasingly being accepted in whispers, headlines, and betting circles alike, creating a dramatic prelude that has fans buzzing and pundits predicting every possible outcome before a single play unfolds. The tension surrounding the Broncos appears to be growing exponentially, as insiders continue to leak bits of information suggesting that the problems within the team are not only persistent, but potentially escalating. Multiple sources hint that key meetings behind closed doors are becoming increasingly chaotic, with disagreements on strategy, personnel, and even leadership reportedly surfacing in ways that insiders describe as unprecedented. The psychological toll on players, especially those who have been with the organization for years, is reportedly visible in both practice intensity and sideline demeanor. Analysts have begun to suggest that if these internal conflicts are not addressed immediately, the Broncos could enter the confrontation with a fractured sense of cohesion, undermining plays that once relied on precise timing and trust. Meanwhile, the Commanders are reportedly conducting their preparations in stark contrast, with an atmosphere described by insiders as calm, focused, and meticulously organized. Every source familiar with the situation emphasizes the juxtaposition between the two organizations, with whispers suggesting that the Commanders might be quietly exploiting the Broncos' internal turmoil to gain both psychological and strategic leverage. Fans and commentators are following every minute development, interpreting every sideline, expression, social media post, and practice update as a potential sign of the larger story, heightening anticipation and adding layers of drama to what some are already calling a showdown of psychological warfare as much as athletic prowess. If you're enjoying the coverage, make sure to smash that like button and drop a comment with your thoughts on the Commanders' latest moves. We want to hear from you. Rumors indicate that the Broncos' issues may extend to the very core of their playbook, with insiders suggesting that uncertainty around key offensive and defensive schemes could result in hesitation, miscommunication, and uncharacteristic errors during the game. Sources hint at late-night meetings, phone calls, and strategic adjustments, all aimed at patching gaps that have reportedly emerged suddenly and under immense pressure. Analysts speculate that even the most disciplined players may be influenced by the uncertainty, affecting split-second decisions and overall timing that are critical at this level of competition. Meanwhile, the Commanders are allegedly capitalizing on every hint of disorder, conducting mental preparation, reviewing potential scenarios, and maintaining a unified team focus that insiders describe as enviable. Social media continues to amplify these rumors, with fans, bloggers, and commentators creating speculative narratives that add another layer of intensity and public scrutiny to the Broncos' predicament. Every subtle signal, from cryptic comments to sideline gestures, is dissected and analyzed as potential confirmation of the team's instability. Meanwhile, insiders maintain that while the Broncos are attempting to manage the situation internally, the perception of vulnerability may already have shifted the balance in favor of the Commanders, establishing them as super favorites long before the first whistle blows. Sources close to the Broncos suggest that leadership challenges may be compounding the situation, with whispers indicating disagreements between veteran players, coaching staff, and management over how to handle the unfolding crisis. Rumors hint at conflicting approaches, ranging from risk-averse strategies to bold gambles, with insiders describing meetings as tense and filled with heated debate. The psychological strain on players reportedly manifests in subtle but significant ways, including less fluid communication, cautious decision-making, and even visible frustration during drills and practices. Meanwhile, the Commanders are allegedly taking advantage of the unfolding narrative, fostering confidence, reinforcing cohesion, and quietly preparing to exploit any perceived weakness. Analysts speculate that a single misstep from the Broncos could be enough to tip momentum decisively toward the Commanders, who appear positioned not only tactically but psychologically to benefit from the situation. Social media commentary, leaks, and insider reports continue to swirl, feeding public fascination and amplifying the tension around the matchup. Every rumor seems to reinforce the idea that the Broncos are fighting against the mounting tide of uncertainty, while the Commanders' narrative grows steadily, casting them as poised, strategic, and ready to capitalize on a rival's unraveling structure, setting the stage for what many describe as a dramatic confrontation long before it begins. Whispers suggest that the ripple effects of the Broncos' challenges may extend even further than previously imagined, influencing team dynamics, public perception, and possibly the very confidence of individual players. Insiders hint that tension within the locker room is affecting preparation, focus, and mental resilience, with some describing moments of visible doubt that could impact crucial plays. The Commanders, in stark contrast, reportedly exude cohesion, poise, and calculated calm, capitalizing on the perception of instability across from them to enhance their psychological advantage. Analysts are increasingly drawing parallels to historic scenarios in professional sports, where internal conflict significantly weakened a team's performance, providing context for why the Commanders are now widely seen as super favorites. Despite previous assessments, social media amplification of every cryptic sign, internal rumor, and sideline moment continues to feed speculation, with some commentators suggesting that the Broncos' predicament has already begun influencing how opposing coaches and strategists approach the confrontation. Meanwhile, the Broncos reportedly continue to scramble behind closed doors, attempting contingency plans, tactical adjustments, and morale-boosting initiatives that insiders describe as urgent yet uncertain. The situation, as described by multiple sources, paints a vivid picture of a team in turmoil facing an opponent strategically, psychologically, and publicly positioned to exploit every crack, creating a storm of tension, anticipation, and speculation unlike anything seen in recent memory. Thanks for tuning into District Command Central. Make sure to subscribe and follow us for all the Commanders news you need. Until next time. Keep the faith and hail to the Commanders.